All right. Good morning, traders. Good morning. Good morning. You should see my screen. You should hear my voice. You should be able to chat with me and each other, put out a message and say hello. Good morning, Doug. Good morning, Kent. Good morning, Caps. Good morning, Lee and Peter. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Artol. Don is here. Good morning, Tom Cook. Good morning to you, sir. All right. Officially, then. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Welcome out to the Options Income Launchpad Tuesday opening bell. I am Scott. And I want to remind you, as always, that what we do is for education and illustrative purposes only. Nothing is intended as a recommendation to buy or sell any security or financial product. This is solely for education. Oh, no, we already said that. We're not brokers. Therefore, we don't give personalized investment advice. Any decision you make should be done so at your own risk, yada, yada, yada. Here's our agenda. The normal. Let's dive in. Let's dive in. Flat for the Dow, 0.03. Pretty good start for the S&P, 0.31. And look who's taking off. At least early on. 0.87% on the NASDAQ. And you might be thinking, Scott, why aren't you saying 1.5%? I want you to notice something. That's not the live price yet. Drawing tools, where are you? There we go. If you notice, each one of these has a little dot representative of the start. The dotted line here is 0. So the dot is up on all three of them. And then you'll notice the VIX. Here's its line, and it started down. What there is no line. There's no dot. This is yesterday. I don't know why there's a lag, but I just always wanted to remind you. Like, some people are like, "What's going on with the?" And I'm like, "Oh no, it's just the first 5 or 10 minutes." Okay. Okay. Okay, start. JP Morgan profits rise. Futures are mixed amid Iran deal hopes. Goldman rakes it in, but issues a warning. The but. We. Hold on a second. Good morning, Stephen. Good to see you. Your chat came directly to me, so the others won't see it. Just making sure you're aware. Goldman. If you remember yesterday, they gapped down and then it ran up a little bit. And now here. So okay. I actually think that's favorable. Financials is holding up as some of its biggest players are reporting earnings. Um, okay, so look, if we're seeing money going back into technology, if we're seeing money going back into financials, that will further support the improvement in conditions that we saw this last week in our market posture. Okay. Okay. We do have news this week. It's a fun, colorful drawing. Oil slips as the US and Iran way more talks. Okay. What do we know about today's information? Um, well, there we go. So the markets actually, interestingly, look around. What do you see about inflation? There it is right there. Yeah, nobody cares that much, apparently, at Yahoo. Like wholesale inflation. What do they mean by wholesale? Producer, PPI, versus CPI, consumer inflation. Um, but it rose to a 3-year high. And what do we have? We were, well, now this one is interesting. Look at this first line. Last time, 0.5%. Forecast 1.1 came in at 0.5. So they expected that to go higher. These are weird numbers. This doesn't make sense to me. Here they expected it to double and it stayed. Here they expected it to drop a little and it dropped more. Oh, let's see. Producer, core PPI. And then, oh, that's why. That's the core number. But the PPI didn't jump either, but year over year did to 4%. That's the scary number right there. 4%. That's the, like, we've been seeing numbers in the twos, and then they hit the threes. And that's the first time, which, as the news article said, highest in 3 years. Now we're talking about the last year and a half and change of the previous administration, first part of this administration. What do we have tomorrow? Empire State Manufacturing. After today, no one cares that much. People are like the beige book. Remember that nobody thinks as of right now. We'll go through it real fast. We haven't gone in here in a minute. Um, this month, 2 weeks. 2 weeks from tomorrow, we have a meeting. Zero expectations of a change in June. There's 1.7% probability priced in that this thing gets cut. We go to July, and okay, it's shifted a little in July. We now have 5.8. September 9%, October 12%, December 21%. At least there's hardly any, for a little while there, couple weeks ago, there was actually forecasts that called for a hike more so than a cut. So it looks like the market has to stand alone this year for the year. Okay. All right. Well, let's go play with some charts and see what's cracking. Here is SPY. Now, here's the interesting thing is, we talked about the V and we said, is the V done? Is the V getting I was okay even to there. And that's about where we got originally. But you'll notice, and I said, hey, we could make a run on up. 697 is our high, which is about right here. So we're this far from the high already. And I want you to notice, look at the volume. Even yesterday, no volume. What does that mean? It means no opposition. All the sellers, all these sell days back here, you can see across the board, and it was interesting how many of them ended up being white days, white day, red day. We had a white and a red back to back, but these are the times and then it accelerated down even further still. So going, accelerated recovery, gap on news, and now it's just sort of coasting, despite the fact that the news is not really all that great. Um, um, okay, sorry. I see this as a cautious market with buyers. But, well, that's the thing, right? Is on this way up, not really been any dips. It's just sort of like pop, 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 pop. Even though the volume, I mean, yesterday's volume was shocking to me. 54 million out of 91 were not that much volume the day before. But we don't need it right now. Why? Because there's just the sellers aren't there. Now, if let's go look at the fear index for just a minute. And you can see the same thing is happening here. It just sort of keeps on um um okay. Where are we? So remember what's happened in the last couple of or the last week. We went from this, which was a higher low that had us still thinking that we maybe are transitioning, to a break of this low, then a break of this low, and now what? Now we're testing this low. Okay. At 18. The VIX will drop back to 15 before the ceasefire. Okay. Maybe. I mean, 15's pretty low. You'll notice that back in January, we got to the 15s. Mm, But it is, we'll see. Well, I'll tell you one thing. That's our last high. What does that mean? That means that even if we shot up like this and then turned over, that's a lower high. I actually don't see us filling that gap. I think it would not get to 24. I think we would drop sooner than that. It feels like what? Like the institutions are shedding their hedges. The hedging activity that created this, and that was, it's a pretty good chunk. If I'll erase these lines and zoom out so you can see a little bit more what it looks like relative to like the last couple of years. Um, not the highest, but certainly a period of elevated volatility. Um, yeah, this is looking pretty favorable to me. Okay, let's look at the. Where's my mouse? Let's look at 2 years. So it wasn't this. This was tariff reveal party day. You can see there was a pretty healthy buildup in front of that. But and this one was super weird. Like it spiked up to 60 on nothing. Who remembers that? Who remembers that spike? Stephen D. Yes, you were there. So weird. We're all like, what is going on? Like what caused what institutional panic? Unwarranted, to be fair. Um, though I want you to notice that even on that one, we had plenty of initial buildup, right? This one that we just had. That's one of the things that we're looking for. Yeah, right. We were like, is this a bad feed? Is it because it was such a weird spike in a single day. Here, what do you notice? There's always these periods before these that's why we look for those so much. Now the question is, yeah, Stephen, I agree. It could probably get down to 15. I wouldn't be surprised if we bounce a little first, which would actually be the best possible scenario for us as traders. What would be the best scenario for us as traders? Let me go back to 6 months. Um, yeah, if it were to stabilize a little bit and then pop up and then roll over, maybe even somewhere near this, um, somewhere maybe inside of this gap range, because the next lower high is the one that brings us down like this. And then the next one after that hopefully gets us back into the low teens and we get a couple of bullish windows. Okay, let's get to the watch list. Full watch list. Alcoa earnings coming up in 2 days. Uh, so I would be, especially with it overbought, coming down a little bit. I would be a little concerned about that. Okay. Apple stable. Archer Daniels. Now, here's the thing: Archer Daniels still has a little bit of a defensiveness to it, and I think that that's actually something that I'm going to be to some extent interested in. Right? That I will be to some extent interested in that because I don't know that we're out of the woods just yet. We are still a negative number on our posture, despite the fact that we had an improvement. We are still a negative number. We're still in a place where we're like, I don't know. Let's see. Okay. Applied materials flagging. Remember that we're looking. Um, I would actually argue that this poll would be moved. That's not what I was looking for before, but what happened. So if that's the poll, this is the flag. That's what we're watching for. Okay. Let's see. AMKR overextended. Unless something drastic happens in the street. Well, that's a big if or a big unless. As there seems to be plenty of opportunity for that exact something drastic to potentially happen. Okay. APH. Ooh, ASX got even beyond the target. Did everybody close? Is anybody still holding any of this trade? It reached its first target, then it reached its second target. Um, so yeah, we should probably handle business at this point. If anybody has anything left, AXP credit cards, part of that financial run potentially going on right now. Alibaba, no. Bank of America, strong, but earnings are tomorrow. Right? Strong, but earnings are tomorrow. DCS. Citigroup reported their earnings, looking for 264. They got 306. Nice gap up, run up higher. It's already pulled back from that high, but that's okay, right? Um, but that's okay. We're seeing the improvement. Let's go into the now. What's happening with the VIX down in the teens again? What's happening to our expectations of intraday potential, meaning day trade potential? It's diminishing. There's less there, right? There's it is what it is. That's what's happening now. Let's go take a look at it. Though yesterday was a pretty good day. Yesterday, you can see we moved higher, but a lot of that came in one like afternoon spell. There was a big chunk of it right here in the afternoon. Today we opened, run, pause. Now we're pulling back. I'd say we're still in buyer's orientation. The trend at this level is up. The momentum right now is in favor of the buyers. I have to imagine that if you are day trading, you are doing so in a bullish fashion. Um, Let me know if that's the case. Let's see. Okay. Let's go back where we were. Caterpillar. Oh, let me get out of the full load. Okay. Whoops. CF. Now remember, CF is a beneficiary of decreased supply, increased price because of the straight. So the straight opening is only going to bring this down. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm leaning towards the straight being resolved, then this is not a play that you would be thinking about. Okay, let's see. Coherent, overextended, Cisco. Ooh, Cisco. This is what I'm looking for, right? This Cisco's been one we've been talking about. Stabilized, buyers came in, got a new run, and now we have this little flag type consolidation, right? Something along those lines where it's now stalling a little bit. Now it could even go a little further still into like this little range in here. It could just turn and bounce. That's valid. If it comes down in here and turns, that's valid. Either one of those right there would be like, this is what we're looking for out of this trade. Okay. Let's move on. Cisco is, I'm just making some notes. I like the way that's setting up this week. Delta's trying to make a turn. Unfortunately, it's already a 5% move. That doesn't really help much. Here's Dow. Here's Dow Chemical. Ooh, come on, Dow Chemical. We got the stochastic crossing. Good start. Now we're kind of in the middle of this thing. It can chop around a little. We've seen that before as it starts to move. So I'm not going to panic. Rocket Lab is on our list, Renee. I can definitely pull up the other two. What's the symbol for Firefly? And I'll bring that one up as well. Oh, you guys lost me? Oh, I don't know what just happened then. Can you hear me now? Sorry, fly. I got the fly symbol. It's here. You can see the volume here overwhelmingly increasing, right? Uh, let me see the volume on the options here real quickly. Uh, so let me show you what I'm looking at. They're starting to show signs. If you look at the round numbers, which include what? 30, 35, 40. 30, 4,000 contracts, almost 5,000. 35, 5,400 contracts. 40s, 12,000 contracts. Kent, enjoy your conference. Good to see you. Um, and you'll notice that even there, the spreads are still 70 cents. That's almost a 20% spread. Um, 35, it's 90 cents on $6. That's 90, that's a 15%. Up here, it's $1.90 on a $10 option. That's 19%. So, and that's the maze. That's the standard maze. Don't love the options. I'd still watch it because you never know. But yeah. Okay, let's keep going. Actually, let me move that back. In a fly call currently. Okay, so you haven't found those options to be the tough then. Good. Well, all right. It definitely made a good jump, though I would say what think about that exit strategy because if you're up $2,500 now, I have to imagine here versus now even was significantly better still. Which of course we have to understand that that's just trading. You're gonna get some, give it back a little, get some. What's the goal? What's the target? As you see what it's doing now, it stochastics coming down the way that it is. Um, yeah, be thinking, great. Well, how do I make sure I keep what I've earned? Ooh, and Peter too. Look at this. A couple of guys trading these. Got it. Okay, let's see. 115.27. Okay, well, let's stop. Let's talk about that for a second, Doug, if you don't mind. So that's January. That's 9 months. 8 months? 8 months. 8 months to December. 9 months. Have sold one. Okay, smart. I love scaling out strategies, of course. Of course. Um, but are you an investor and you're thinking about this in the long term? If so, I would recommend you change charts. Look at the weekly. Although you'll notice in the long term, you're like, oh, the weekly seems like uh, we ASTS got it, Renee. Thanks. We made this move here. Up, little pullback, up. Maybe it's a little pullback. So, are you trading the trend, the swing, right? When you buy longer options, we want to be careful that we have like still what exactly is the plan that I'm looking for. Okay. ASTS. Trading long-term upside space. Yeah. Okay. Generically, yes. Specifically, specifically, what are you trading for? What's the numbers? This is if we were working one on one, that's where our conversation would be going. I would literally, and I'm not, it's not like I'm like picking on Doug. Doug's willing to talk about his trade. So I'm like, great, let's talk about it. What's the plan? Um, because we have to be thinking to ourselves, well, if I'm in the long term, how much pain would I sustain? That's the question I would ask you. If you're thinking to yourself, well, I wanted to make another run like this. Um, maybe it does. Maybe it goes from 30 to 50. And if it gets to 50, you'll be pretty stoked. But could you handle, because you've thought about it, could you handle this move here? Because your 2,500 when it drops $5 is going to be right. This is diminishing, and you're like, oh, what am I going to do? It's dropping. Maybe not. Maybe you're like, no, I'll be fine. Great. Okay. Then maybe you mark 30 as, would you let it drop to 25? So let it drop to 20? And you'd be like, no way, I'll let it drop to 20. Okay. So if there's no way we'd let it drop to 20, we're getting somewhere, but where is our line where we're like, this is where I would be like, that's all I can stand. I can't stand no more. Okay. Space is the new frontier. Maybe. I've always learned it was the final frontier. Excuse me. Woo. A little cough. Okay, ASTS, and then we'll get back to the watch list. I mean, this one's kind of sideways here. Firefly, I see some appeal. But this one, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I'm not really seeing it. It's a little sideways, lots of government money. Well, government money can definitely help. Hmm. Government money can definitely help. I agree with that. Okay. Yeah. Well, we have Rocket Lab. Let's pull that up real quick and then we'll get back in order. Same kind of a thing. And we try to make runs at it, right? Like we there during this, we had a phenomenal trade. I can't remember which one of these we caught. I think we caught this one. Got there real fast. I think we actually caught two in a row, didn't we? Sounds familiar. Back when the getting was still good. I know we had at least one of those. Um, but since then, what's happened? Right? Not much has happened since then. Okay. Where were we exactly? I think we were around Home Depot. Does that sound right? Home Depot? No. HL. So mining stocks have kind of lost their luster. Intel maybe on a pullback. Lumentum's pulling back. That one looks fairly reasonable. Lam Research overextended, just keeps going. MasterCard, no. Okay, look at Meta. Meta out of the blue, back in favor. We like to see that. Needs a pullback. Morgan reports tomorrow, almost through earnings. Oh, Renee, thank you for bringing them up. Let me just then pause for a second. I love going through new stuff. So anybody, if you're like, hey, I heard about this, I saw this, yeah, let's talk about it. Let's bring it up. Let's have the conversation. Um, Super helpful. Micron, I mean, a lot of these things just need consolidations right now. We just have to be patient for the consolidations, right? Nvidia still going, Palantir trying to turn things around. Wait, there was something that came across. Hold on. Ooh, Peter, I almost missed yours. Lululemon showed up on our put search, which is why that sparked my interest. However, however, it feels very head and shouldery to me right now. Shoulder, head, and you can kind of see how this is already playing out. It tested it there. It tested it there. It's above it now. So that my thought is if this thing makes this bounce, there's the other shoulder. Um, so okay. Where was I? Lululemon, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, Rocket Lab. We saw Ross Stores still looks bullish. RTX looking bullish, but has earnings soon. The digital storage companies, after making big new strides, are pulling back or pausing a little bit. Cisco, see, I think Cisco also looks like it could, revert again. I'm just not feeling very bearish. Um, the yeah, the surge that we've had really has me reluctant to go the other way. Okay. Oracle, Linda says. Oracle is one that we've had on our list before at various times. Linda, good call out. ORC. Ooh, okay. So first signs of life. This thing had been just grinding down, but then all of a sudden, what do we have? We've got some sideways action here. And then for the very, very first time yesterday, you can see the buyers put a little time in, got a little volume right there. Today, it looks like it's about here's the same level. So it's running out of steam, or apparently running out of some steam. Um, yeah. Let's see. Okay. For me, this is with this being the very first sign of buyers. Yeah, I'd be very careful. My thought is on this next pullback, then we have right the buyers starting to fight to see if they can't get this thing reversing. I mean, it was downtrending for an extended period of time. Um, so all right. Let me get rid of this. Where were we? We were around TJX. TJX is looking bullish. Tesla is not. We've got earnings. I gotta say, Tesla's. If there was one that I was thinking looked still puttish, this one definitely looks puttish. TSM overextended. UPS no. Vale strong. Viking strong. The VIX is down, sitting around 18 still. VOD on my list. Nice strong move up. Nice little consolidation back. Almost above the 50 cup and handle. Very strong. I like VOD. Let me make sure I like the options. No, I didn't love the options. But I said I might trade the stock, I think is what I talked about. Now I remember. Sorry. I remember now. WDC overextended. Walmart. Walmart's a maybe. Buyers made a nice push. Little pause in here. This thing can stabilize. I'd say Walmart's fine. Gotta say, Cisco's my leader right now as we look at this transitionary time. Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns? Before we wrap up, don't forget tonight, Glenn will be here at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. I will be here at 8:30, an hour later. 15-minute break in between. Um, Things look more bullish. Things look better than they have. So let's keep looking. But of course, we know how susceptible we are to news, and we know what the news potential is right now. So yeah, let's just keep that in mind. Cautiously optimistic remains the tone. I hope everybody has a great rest of their day. Good luck with the trade you're in, the trade you're considering. See you tonight. As always, happy trading.